Thank you for your patience. So online, we have received a couple of questions. So I would like to read it on behalf of the audience so that the speakers can answer. So first is a question for Tomokawa Sensei. I think this is a person from Pakistan. So can you please share the materials to Pakistan, because during the pandemic, public hygiene has been a big challenge. So I would appreciate it if you can receive your know-hows. And also, there was a question I would like to read together. I understand that this project was very significant, approached from multiple aspects. And was the key point to develop a class, the contents of the class, or was it to enhance training and teaching of teachers, or was it to demonstrate collaboration and cooperation by EduPort beyond borders, or was it comprehensive? So Tomokawa Sensei, can you please respond to these questions? What was the key point in this project?
Can you hear me? Well, thank you for the questions. So question number one, oh, by all means, yes, we appreciate that question and request. So we would like to share with the country. Question number two, I think all of the aims mentioned were our aims. What we developed this time, we wanted to focus on something that was not focused upon. So through lesson studies, the point was that not just in Japan, not just in Laos only, not just in Nepal only, with all three countries working together, we will find something that's normal in Japan, unique in other countries, vice versa. And because were able to have perspectives from three countries, we had a lot of learning. That was the point.
Thank you. Next is for Kageto Sensei. So this was a question that we had received in advance, and we were eager to ask this question to you. So in remote education, in terms of reach and effectiveness evaluation, that seems to be a challenge for the person who asked the question. So in order to assess the effect, is there anything that you particularly pay attention to? Well, remote education was carried out in universities during the pandemic, and we always thought about what is the uniqueness of remote education. And also the opposite of that would be what we will be able to deepen in the physical face-to-face education. In Cambodian project, children who cannot go to school, when they access a video clip which is on the online platform, if they are motivated to learn, they would have such availability. So mobile learning is in the background of all these. So in remote learning, remote education, it has to be looked at separately from a face-to-face education and leverage the strengths of each. And mobile learning can be used to support those who cannot attend schools. I think that is included in the EduPort project.
ありがとうございます。
Dr. Kageto, thank you. There's one question for Mr. Okamura. So, in developing countries, which became part of the project, the attitude of learning among students and the culture around education in schools, how school administration is conducted. Well, so you had activities in the Philippines. Were there learnings and insights for Japan, for anything for Japan to learn? So I'm a former teacher interested in international education. Yes. So I made a visit to a number of schools in the Philippines, and what I felt is that children and teachers both look forward to coming to school every day. When I was small, there was less management control and not too much focus on studies. And so I think I was able to spend a fun time in school. And there is so much respect for teachers. There's a day for teachers designated by the country. And on that day, students would convey their appreciation to teachers and events would be organized. And so that kind of culture is something that Japan is losing. And so those were some of the learnings that we could use in Japan. Thank you.
So there was another question for Tomokawa sensei. I was very much interested in the report on Laos and Nepal. I have a question. The collaboration of inquisitive learning and international cooperation health, what is the specific idea or concept under this theme? And this is a school nurse, and inquisitive learning is something that he or she is interested in.
はい。
Thank you for the question. Actually, in last fiscal year, we were asked to organize seminars for inquiry-based education at high schools. And this year I'm going to be part of it. And we're discussing what to do. So when conducting inquiries, you always need to ask the question, why? Well, here in Japan, sometimes it's difficult to ask why. Well, there's so much difference in culture and practice. And so it's sometimes difficult. And there are gaps, why would gaps be generated, especially when it comes to health and education? These are issues that can be easily shared. For example, global issues Japan is facing is not limited to Japan. And so there are gaps, but then why, you have to ask. So cultural, social differences, by being aware of them, I think the question of asking why is important, and people realize that. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. So because we are having a physical symposium in this venue, we would like to open up the floor for questions. So if you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand from your seat to let us know. One of our staff will bring you a microphone. Anyone with questions or comments? Then, meanwhile, there is one more question that I have with me, and I hope that you can think of your own questions using this time. So there is another question that we've received. So this is a question to all of you, actually. In order to brighten up the future and in order to adapt changes, I think changes are required not only among teachers, but also in the educational field. So I have been gradually learning what is necessary, but what do you think is the change that teachers need to make? That is the question. I think this is a broad, difficult question, but I would like to ask Mr. Okamura to respond first.
Yes, the question was rather difficult. Well, we are a publisher of teaching materials. So school teachers and students and children, we want to create textbooks and teaching materials that are easy to learn, that are easy to use. That's where we would like to contribute. And so far, we've received lots of advice from teachers around the nation. That's how we put together and develop textbooks and teaching materials. And I hope that's the kind of culture that we can continue to promote. I hope I answered the question.
先生はいかが
Thank you, Kageto Sensei. How about you? So 10 years as elementary school teacher, and also in high school, and also 10 years in high school and 20 years in university I've spent as a faculty. So I know how the teachers are feeling today, but I do think that Japanese teachers should also pivot their viewpoint, because COVID is the key word today. But in the background, there is also Ukraine situation. The fuel price going up, which impacts your fathers, and we are seeing things start to collapse in Japan that used to be successful. Why were Russian people not able to stop Putin? ESD, SDGs, such keywords need to be discussed by everyone. And in communication, English should be used more. And I think this is the phase we should seriously consider how we can realize that. In interaction with teachers across the world, we should discuss how to sever the path to war. I think that is a serious discussion topic. Thank you.
先生、ありがとうございます。
Dr. Kageto, thank you. Now, Dr. Tomokawa, yes, I'm training teachers, new teachers, and so there are three things that I always tell my students. Let me share them with you. Under COVID, online activities increased, and there are increased uncertainties for the future. There are some of such keywords used. As a teacher, well, you have to make a proactive effort to engage. And the risk is that you tend to step back, not engage, but make a proactive effort to meet people and try to build relationships. Well, with online, free of charge, you're able to engage with so many people around the world. So let's be proactive in trying to build relationships and ties. And number two, because online activities are raising, I think face-to-face interaction and experience is all the more important. So teachers go overseas to see the schools overseas. What are the gaps? What are the differences? And once you experience, you will be able to convey the message to the children more effectively. Well, even in Japan, you could go to remote areas or some other areas where the culture is different from yours. So have actual experience. And number three, this is a challenge to teachers. There are a variety of tools and instruments, and the teachers, they have to create an opportunity or trigger. And by offering a positive opportunity to children, you can excite the children, put smiles on their faces. And so how to create such an opportunity, a trigger, if you will, that's incumbent upon the teachers to create. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. So there's one new question for Mr. Okamura. Let me read it out loud. I have to confirm this, but from Cavite State, a principal. Cavite State is in the Philippines. This is a question from a principal of a school in this state. Well, that school admits 12,000 students. This is a second primary school. Is there an ideal ratio between teachers and students? Maybe this is a question to Mr. Okamura and Kageto sensei. So compared to Japan, the ratio of teachers and students in mathematics education, is there any special consideration that we should give? Mr. Okamura, what do you think?
Well, let me see. And the way in which teaching materials is used here in Japan, there are lots of training sessions done between teachers, and lesson studies are often done for teachers to observe other teachers' lessons. But in the Philippines, I did not see very much of that. So between teachers, you can train each other. you can teach each other how to utilize teaching materials. And if such study groups can be formed for such activities, that could be useful.
Thank you. When we look at Cambodia and the Philippines, birth rate is quite high. It's in 1.4 for Japan, but it is 2.6 for those countries. And population will continue to increase in those two countries. In the next of Japan, appropriate size of class has been reduced after all of these efforts. I think it is about 28 today in a class, and we believe that is an appropriate size of a class. In Cambodia, that I was at until 2 days ago, in most classes, they have over 40 students. Thank you.
ございました。
Dr. Kageto, thank you. Time flew. We only have 5 more minutes left. So if there are any questions or comments from the members of the audience in this hall, please raise your hand. Please do so. Any questions or comments? I see a hand in the middle. We will bring a microphone to you. Please wait. Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Takada, Japan Math Test Association. In Jamaica, we have offered math-related tools and STEM education. In Jamaica, they said that they already have a number of existing activities. That was what I was told by local teachers, but having an actual look, because the basics were not taught very well, it did not lead to very good STEAM. So they do claim that they're doing this actively, but I wasn't sure. So inquiry and basic skills, how can you strike the right balance between the two to teach both? I thought that was the challenge there. So may I ask what should be the right balance and how should that issue be tackled? May I ask each of you?
それではお答え
Now, who would like to respond? Mr. Okamura, perhaps?
Yes, thank you for the question. So math, arithmetic. In the case of math and mathematics, well, you have to have the basic skills of addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. A basic training on that, first and foremost, is necessary. So in Japanese textbooks, as I said, how to think about it is very much focused on. Thinking behind the formula is very much emphasized, and a lot of pages are allocated for that. At the same time, basic training of those basic arithmetic skills is also very important. Well, starting from April this year, in South Africa, as part of JICA's project, we are to conduct a research and survey. As part of that activity, the training of basic math skills and focus on the thinking behind the formulae and textbook based on that. So from those two perspectives, we're thinking of doing surveys there.
とうございます。
Thank you. In January, well, in Cambodia, there's a monthly test to assess the academic performance. And in a school with 3,000 students, the percentage of students who could not pass was 22%. Well, when we let them do calculations, that is obvious. In order to cope with the situation, actually, they are too busy because they work at the school in the morning, and because they are poor, they go for a part-time job after school. And during night, they are also running cram school. So that kind of living pattern of teachers need to change in order to improve the academic performance level of the students. I think that's the general situation in Cambodia. That is why I'm stressing ownership. Thank you for your attention.
So math education may be the topic here, but in health education, I think the same applies, lack of basic understanding and skills. So let me share my thinking. So what is it that you're learning? You have to be selective in what you learn. And what is often the case with developing countries is that there are so many overlaps. You repetitively teach the same thing over 4 years. Time is limited, so a curriculum composition should be reviewed. And so review and reconsider what to teach when. And where Japan can cooperate on what, well, that's to be determined by the recipient country. And I think we can learn from them what they need. Well, drills can be used, exercises can be used for basic skill training. That can be done through self-training and other content. But how are you going to go about that? You have to have dialogue for that. So proactive and interactive, I said. That's easier to understand, but authentic learning, that's also a key concept, and that's difficult to convey. In order to understand that, teachers have to be well prepared. You need plans. And so if authentic learning can be provided by online, that would be wonderful, but it's challenging. And yet we have to address that challenge. May I say one more thing? There are health teachers here. For the past 2 years, I have battled with the health sector. And we talk about introduction, deployment, and conclusion in the educational world. People understand. And when I talk to health experts, they just don't understand these concepts. Introduction of what? People, they would say. So by people in the educational industry talking to people in other sectors, I think you gain new insights and perspectives. So you try to form a common language with people from different sectors. We talk about collaboration, and you bring what you have other people bring what they have, but I think we need to integrate more and try to form a common language across different sectors. So I think integration perhaps is more important than collaboration.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you so much. We would have wanted to accept a lot more questions, but it is time to close the Q&A session. With this, we would like to conclude the Q&A session for the activity report. Once again, I would like to extend my gratitude to Tomokawa Sensei, Kageto Sensei, and Mr. Okamura for giving us a report on their activities.